Chile Hewitt Sirius Stellus Moon. And the moon is 25 degrees Capricorn, ascendant separating from Spica. Mercury hour and day. Mercury retrograde 26 degrees Cancer. Now, Mars is 2 minutes from conjoining Uranus and will be conjoining Uranus July 3rd, not the 4th of July, the 3rd of July. um, Upon the conjunction, we're going to have Sun 11 degrees Cancer, Mercury, Procyon 25 degrees Cancer, Venus will be 22ing, and the moon will be in Aquarius, ruled by Saturn at 14 degrees Aries. It's ruled by this Mars. There's going to be a moon activation indirectly of this. Now, gas infrastructure, sudden explosions. Y'all know why I called me on board here, right? There's the trine to Pluto. Um, there's the trine to Pluto, so we have oil, gas infrastructures, um, nuclear infrastructure, hopefully not. Like, what if we nuke a nuke? Gotta be careful with his jokes there because it's in Gemini. Like I said in the previous episode that will air a couple of months from now, feeling like Falstaff here with the broadcasting. Now, I was reading about AI agents. Now, a lot of this war has to do with AI agents. However much they're supervised, it's like overdose soldiers in the the episode title that I watched around AI agents was named Toddlers with Bazookas. Now, it did not have a lot of reach. It reached the SEO of Google, but it did not have a lot of reach within the platform. Maybe I can show you. That's the folks, Cyber Threat POV and Tech Space. And the reason probably has to do with the fact that AI agents are used contemporary in conflict, military conflict, global military conflict, as esoteric zones like, NATO, Iran. Now, Iran's message to United States was to tame their pet Israel. Um, this shows of profound lack of cultural acquaintance with Israel. You see, when Yasser Arafat was claiming that he has a position that is strong enough to be a point of discussion during the Oslo agreements or Oslo discourses, I think discourses or discords even was was a better word for that, but he was claiming that he could be representative, and then he was asked to stand in his word, and then he came from the PLO, so he had the jihad, and he had Hamas, the beginning of the growth of Hamas, and then he had to show that he can cause all of them to cease fire. That's not the situation with two distinct countries. And was this an intentional thing that was prompt to kind of cause Israel to attack so that Iran can attack and make it look like they were attacked first. Not impossible. I don't think Iranian people are stupid, and they might want to do what they might want to go for the move, for the 67 move of Moshe Dayan, which is not a silly move at all. They need to show that Israel attacks first, and the best way to get that is to get at to get the lion to roar, is to call, they try to call the lion a pet so that they can get the lion to roar. Now Israel has to play it 7 times more, waiting for Iran to attack, because the United States is ready for battle. It's actually a great move by the United States. Under Trump's regime, the United States is ready for battle, ready for extended battle, and it negotiates from that stance. It negotiates from a power position. In that situation, Israel knows that while it's 2 countries involved, interrelated, there are U.S. military forces on the land of Israel that, by the way, had to separate completely from the Israeli citizens, following complaints of fathers that they have daughters and they don't want the American soldiers. That was the pool. Yeah, I'm not joking. It actually happened. That was the pool negotiations, and the response of the United States was to completely take away every note or every sign of blending of the populations. So Israel has to show that it doesn't respond militarily to the verbal statement by Iran. And what is the quality, what is the ability of Israel to hold its pride and bravado is a big question. And I'm not the greatest advocate of what Moshe Dayan did to children, to people, and to the feminine. But we also have to ask ourselves, what would Moshe Dayan do? Would he go bursting on all frontiers, or would he wait until Iran makes the first move? And then, is Israel ready for continuation of the war on all fronts? Are we in the situation we were in 67? I don't think so. Israel has to honor the feminine 7 times more than it would in an optimal situation by now. And that's the only defense that we could have. If we do, we're safe in the face of what the Iranians call the big devil. Or maybe they call us the big devil, I don't know. But the people that see the region as New Egypt. But if we don't, then I guess it would be I guess being an English teacher would be a wanted profession again very soon. No, because a lot of folks started studying Chinese. And now, Mars Uranus, naturally something unexpected will happen. Can we actually predict to go through these 3 days without any strikes? I don't think so. Is it a good move? Is it a strategic move? Uranus doesn't ask about good or strategic. Uranus has its own logic and it's a fuzzy one. Uranus can be an AI attack on set without anybody prompting it. Um, probably we've had more than once like that. There were even times where people were admitted say, hey, that missile was sent by mistake. People were like, yeah, mistake. It's kind of like, well, with AI, it actually can be. Now, Uranus is closer to the US Uranus than to the NATO one and to the Israeli one. זה לא.
רק פה התכוונתי.
הכל בסדר, שנייה. Um, now, for me that means that something involving United States is coming closer, and this can create a situation that's not unlikely to the character of the US regime, is that it's going to do to Israel what it did to NATO. It's kind of like, hey, if Israel attacks first, it's going to be a problem, but if United States responds and Israel doesn't join, it's also going to be a problem. And we already know that pattern. Will Israel decide to delay or withdraw? Will it be like an egoic battle? I think we can see that more towards August, where the sun ingresses to Leo and opposes Pluto from the 11th house of Israel. This is where we can see that there is the part in Israel that knew to stand to all three empires, again, rightfully or not, and show that it can say, hey, no, whether it's wise or not, is still there. Rational or not, it's still a part of the history of Israel, whether we're talking about the regime of the other Polish guy, Begin. Was it happy for the Israeli economy? No, we were hungry. But we show that we can exercise sovereignty, or at least try to. I think it ended with Israel moving more to the hands of United States. But the obvious statement from Iran is probably showing that they are ready to be attacked by Israel. Ready and willing because they were planning to respond. And that's an important piece of information, it's important detail. And they particularly wanted Israel to make a weird move or a dumb move so that they can. What's the stance of United States about it? Well, United States does see the area as New Egypt. And of course, Iran is trying to create the situation that Israel will make the down move, Iran will be forced to respond, and United States will have to calculate its moves. Um, yes, United States is known to calculate its moves, but there can be something that prompts United States to respond, and it can be something like a gas explosion. Coming from where? And here is the thing about the seventh house, it can be both allies and open enemies. And since that entire thing conjoins Sedna, both United States and Israel have the interest to not be the traitor, let's say. But both will have to honor the feminine. Okay, we had 67 war, one here, one here, one here, one here, one here, lost almost everything. Okay, we can be victorious at war, but if we do not honor the feminine, we cannot keep the land. And we also cannot dishonor the feminine upon conquering the land. So yeah, my prediction towards this Mars Uranus is that the United States chart is more prompted, but I do remember the fact that the Sedna ingress to Gemini was the Palestine war. It's in the ninth house of Israel, and we have ruler of the 12th there. There are many assumptions, there are many false flag assumptions around those things. I'm being acutely cautious because I was one of the people that were hurt, and that makes me even more cautious to let's just say to place blame. I do remember that to have the water dependency piece we needed to honor the feminine, even to the level of no transactional relations. And I was one of the people that were not going towards the transactional relations route, and I guess that prompted something. Was it within Israel, outside Israel, in segments part of Israel, in segments part of outside? I don't know, but my point is relevant globally, not just locally. And those who saw my Prepare for Sovereignty before the 30 million files drop, remember, and for 2027 is Honor the Feminine. Now, and by the way, when I talk about I was hurt, I'm speaking about myself. I'm a civilian. So just to make that one clear, now I'm doing mundane astrology, but I'm a civilian. We can joke about the civilian number one jokes, but that's a joke. And that's my stance or the point of view from which I broadcast. There's a mundane astrologer, and then there's the fact that I'm a civilian, even as a mundane astrologer. Now, if people ask why not another rank, well, I address the issues that need to align, whether it's honoring the feminine, honoring sense of self, honoring sovereignty, and so on and so forth. Now, we already see that there was, I think it was in Greece, people were chasing Israelis. And I think that this Mars conjoining Sedna can be risky for Israelis abroad, maybe for Jews abroad, I don't know. And that's just Sedna in the ninth house of Israel. It's an international house. It's a traveling house. It's also a religion house. But the Mars Sedna can be the feeling of being betrayed in the world, which a lot of segments in Israel experienced during the 7th October War. And again, with those things, unfortunately, they how should I say, in 7th October, they were targeting the people that were not exactly the war criminals profile. Let's say if they were trying to profile for the people that would commit a genocide, that was an epic fail. Now, naturally, this Mars-Sedna conjunction is challenging. It's challenging for all Gemini placements. It's challenging for NATO's 10th house. It's challenging for United States' 7th house. It's challenging for Israel's 9th house, which is a more global. And it's challenging for Netherlands' 1800 chart for the 12th house. Okay, Mars going through that 12th house. The natal Sun there is in Pisces, I think, in the 9th. So this is a day chart, which means that there can be, I'm not saying a full-blown code orange, but it's a risky time for Netherlands. They also have the ruler of the 12th in the 9th, so there could be something international. If there's going to be something that's going to affect Dutch people worldwide, that's perhaps why they withdrew from acknowledging any settlements in Israel. They withdrew a lot from Israel, probably to try to safeguard that. But is that suffice? No, they have to look to, with Gemini, they would have to look to anything that is a duplicate. If there are twins, the switching of children at hospitals, a duplicate. I'm thinking about prisons and mental hospitals, which is the main 12th house things. They have to be cautious, like the behavior towards the inmates, the behavior. There can be rebellion of the inmates. There can be rebellion, but if they try to oppress the rebellion and bring the worst aspects of Uranus, so again, very volatile. Mercury there is with Pisces, with Pluto. It can be still hidden. It can be kept under the radar, which means that we might not hear about it in the news. But in any case, Mars-Uranus combination, we should not. By the way, Iran calling to tame Israel is exactly prompting that volatility of Mars-Uranus. And I think for Iran, it could be considered that they attacked first on an energy level. So on an esoteric, on an energy level, they have aggravated Uranus. Okay. And I think that if Israel attacked there, it probably relied on that esoteric level. Okay, the war is also an occultistic war. Naturally, Israeli has a lot to do with honoring the feminine, particularly that the occult house is a Venus house for Israel. If United States has to honor secure attachment because they have Cancer in the eighth house, and esoterics that prompt secure attachment, not abuse secure attachment, not create the image of secure attachment or abuse it. Prompt secure attachment. That's the best occult strategy for United States. And for Israel is to honor the feminine, not create beta per se stories, not yeah, meanwhile we haven't seen anything, but it's not impossible that Israel relied on that esoteric principle to try to get at Iran. Again, do we have the esoteric protection of appeasing beta per se? People here are doing. People here don't even know what beta per se is. They think beta per se wanted to be raped or something like. They're not even there esoterically. And ego and bravado are not suffice. Even the most ego bravado person that was Moshe Dayan was basically prompting to be wise rather than to be egoic. Unfortunately, it wasn't the behavior in other fields, and this is where we didn't get to keep the land. So that same centeredness, not ego-centeredness, but centeredness rather than egoic action is needed on all levels, on all frontiers. Israel is already at war on all frontiers, and has displayed behaviors that caught on camera, not caught on camera. If there's an issue with classified technologies, this should be addressed up front. There should be declassification of technologies, talking about jurisdiction or international law. But what it can't do is to be any form of aggressor on those hidden, whether occultistic, whether sexual boundary violation, and expect to be even on the winning side, I say, which is very frightening, being aware that it's not like the other ones are angels, but to actually sustain something that we need to honor the feminine better than everybody else and not relatively even. Is there going to be something like the 7th of October, a Dutch connection to the happenings here? Not impossible. And that could be another thing that aggravates this 12th house for Netherlands 1800 chart. They would have the ruler of the 10th in the ruler of the 10th is transit in the 12th, and is also the ruler of the 5th. Netherlands has a strong Mars. I think they have a Capricorn Mars in the 6th, also in its joy. Pluto is going to go over their Saturn more towards 2027-8. But he's already adjacent. Now, here's the thing. The country that's gonna drop the esoteric use of whether it's violence or any type of and there are feministic AI defense models that can, if I was Israel, I would go for feministic AI defense models with that Venus 8th house, with that ascendant ruled by Venus, ascendant of the country ruled by Venus. How do we defend it? We appease Venus. And that, I think, can be something that we don't really have the choice. We don't really have the privilege. We don't really have the ability to play with the timelines on this one. Even when we think about the Athena logic in 67, then naturally Iran is playing on something that has learned from these, and we're dealing with something that requires for way more honoring the feminine than ever before. So we talked about gas infrastructure, sudden explosions, um, Pisces ascendant here, so this is in my fourth house. And another thing that can be there is with Sedna. With Sedna. I think about 7th of October when people went down to the shelters, and then one of the shelters was locked. They had to unlock it, and there was a weapons leak. There was a weapon. So it was stolen weapon of some crime organization or something, and stuff like that can explode with Uranus. Okay, with just Mars, and it was exactly around 2.5 years ago. Yes, yeah, Mars was beginning a cycle with Leo. I think no, it wasn't exactly because Sedna was ingressing, so it wasn't that Mars. Mars was sextiling that point. Now Mars is conjuncting that point and is with Uranus, trying to think to the ingress and to think to Uranus Sedna. We probably had some bombings. We probably had some missiles dropping. Anything. Oh, for example, in a neighborhood where there was a trafficked woman, then she closed herself in the shelter because she escaped rape, and then the people wanted to go to the shelter and they couldn't, and it was pretty obvious. I mean, there would be no defense when there are people raped, like it's, and the war started on supposedly the rights of women in Iran. So um, yeah. Again, this is something that I've been saying, all of them. This is something I've been saying over and over again. Um, when Pluto was direct on this point, and yes, where there is sexual boundary violation, there are missiles on those who violate, on those who. Now here is another thing with Sedna. Whatever is money laundered from those type of businesses to gas, also to oil with the sextile to Pluto, but to gas, or even to laser technology with Neptune, is not so benefic. Okay? It means that whatever is connected to that money launder, um, What I don't see here is Al Qaeda. So I'm not seeing, unless it's going to be an ascendant or mid-heaven, very accurate or very exacting or vertex, then that I'm not seeing Al Qaeda. Unless it's going to be a lot of fortune, something like that is incredibly accurate, incredibly kind of like, oh, on that minute, on that hour, then I don't see Al Qaeda, which means besieging of cities is not is not necessarily the point. The global community can have issues. And again, behaviors like, I know it's existing in every country, but behaviors like, I don't know, the what happens in Thailand or those things, nobody would be able to complain about the mass bombing, let's say, around people that went there. Like, nobody will be able to say, oh, it's anti-Semitism. Okay, so kind of like, don't rape children or don't rape, and and this is something to remember. Unfortunately, other now here is the thing: because of the issues of abuse by any religion, but this one is in the Ninth House of Israel, also in the Ninth House of the Netherlands, but this is religious centers. They're not just religious centers. Today we had a person that shot the rabbi, and they say, "Oh, the rabbi was helping the homeless." Probably that person was harassed by this rabbi, and he shot that rabbi. To assume otherwise, I would need to see that they actually abolish violation of people within religion. Just the same as if I see in academia somebody showed the professor so and so, I'd assume that that person was trafficked or was about to be trafficked by that professor. Okay? Essentially, what about political assassination? Falcon. Enough is enough. I actually addressed this very point. Um, Now, more things that can go boom. I hope people are not using gas balloons. Um, no, we had a cat that we hosted because she gave birth during the first Iran cycle. Now she's almost about to give birth. That would take them to the stairs with us. So, but the house, the building, I think still has gas balloons. So, like I said, solar panels on the roof making water from the air. But Uranus is also electricity. Mars, Uranus can be power cuts, but also fires that happen because of electricity. Again, the most susceptible are those that have are the places where there's a sadness story. The people um, that enable or that have trafficked a person. Now, doesn't mean that it can't happen anywhere else. To make it very clear, it's just the nature of explosions. Um, Nuclear activity, also the infrastructure of the laser stuff, like the defense from missile stuff. So people need to be cautious, which is the usual caution. It's just like they really need to apply it this time. But this Mars Uranus, they can't. The people that won't listen to that, but it can be that suddenly they won't be able to abide, or somebody closed the shelter door. Gemini's doors, Mercury retrograde in Cancer. Doors, gates. The moon is at a point that can be denoted at housing that is new and is kind of a skyscraper or military. Mars in Gemini can also be malls, so I probably should get going. And just gonna pack this salad here. um, or yeah. Another thing, I was thinking about the Iya Beseder, or the everything will be okay mentality of Israeli people. Not with this one. Say, okay, it is also a note to self. Yeah. Oh no, this particular bag is not mine. Somebody forgot a bag here. Fortunately, it didn't explode. Technology exploding is another thing. Drones and stuff. But it can also be cell phones and stuff. Um, cars. Cars going boom. Mercury. Mercury at sea, so cars parking around the sea, cars parking around big buildings around the sea. Military basements are safer not around the sea. I said sea, not straight. I'd even dare say Dead Sea, because Moon Saturn is not so safe right now. Red Sea, Mars ruling the moon in sign of the Saturn ruling the moon in sign of Mars, Red Sea. Also not so safe right now. This is for today, but also tomorrow and during the entire 1 degree of conjunction. So where they drill the oil, again, Dead Sea, but any place where they drill the oil or plan to drill the oil, new drilling of oil, Dimona, unfortunately, but any other nuke place, not so safe. People that are thinking to relocate, again, Usually they're asking because they have something in the chart. Usually relocating would add a layer to the natal chart. It wouldn't erase the previous layer. It can accentuate other things, and they will have to really consult. They'd have to consult a person that was running for their life to do that and use astrology. Um, I personally don't know such people, and there are mundane astrologers that do talk about relocation or where it's safe, but also pay attention that we're always adding another layer. That's first, and that I can tell you from experience. And secondly, there is an issue of information, okay, that the information is not private, and if you are, and what is behind any type of program, because I know people also use programs for that. It's important to know who is behind the program, who owns the program, what are their political beliefs. Okay, I'm not saying that it always comes into play. Um, but it's something to be considered on such questions. I think the better option is to, for those that have the capacity to take the courses of the people that do astrocartography, particularly the digital ones, and again, I'm not getting dividends from that, and then compare whatever advice or reading they get with their own. Okay, I know Karen is in Taurus, but Karen is going to retrograde to Aries, and this is where those things become of crucial importance. Can people use astrology, astrocartography while, I don't know, running for their lives? I'm not saying they can't. They have to be very proficient. They have to be aware that they're always adding another layer to their natal charts. And um, and again, sometimes it can even be, well, at least in that place I have more sense of joy in life, or okay, it's kind of like, hey, there's that risk, maybe even added risk, but at least I have this, or there's something other than the evading something that can prompt. Is it not possible to evade life risk by going elsewhere? I think it probably is possible to do that successfully, even with the added layer. Probably if other things are so much more accentuated, particularly if there's a big separation between. So that previous layer will be there, that new layer will be there, but it won't be the point of emphasis. If you have anything in the ninth house that is the crucial problem, then relocation chart becomes even more important, because wherever you're triggering the ninth house, you're basically triggering those risks from your natal chart. Um, more more Mars Uranus. Of course, we have to think of nervous systems, risk of terror. Your Mars Uranus can be associated with terror. I know that I'm in an optimal place for, for all of these beautiful transits. Um, with the moon on my lot of fortune too. to make it exquisite. Where were you at the 9/11? Oh, in the Twin Towers. How come you're here? Did somebody tell you before that? I was thinking to stay, but then I looked at the chart and I thought maybe I'd go home. And then the train delayed and it became dusty. um, now, anything that has two in it, a twin in it, I think we covered weapon trade companies. Um, not Socrates' neck. So, Mars is supposed to remediate an opposition between Jupiter and Pluto. So, just think about the 9/11 being a remediation of something. Um, Another thing, mundane astrologers that use zodiac releasing. The message that you send to people worldwide is that you have the on-the-minute chart of the persona. Okay, it's a risky message to send. Okay, using ascended midheaven with what we have, kind of saying, oh, it seems to be an AA chart and so on and so forth is one thing. Zodiac releasing means that whether it's true or not, it looks like you have information that's not there present for all, and that's something that you want to be considering when you're doing zodiac releasing. So either for me, everybody sees where I take the chart, I Google it and so on. So such transparency can actually alleviate a lot of worries and concerns of people that would look at those things and say, oh, that person, and connect things to where they're not connected. So that's another tip that I have to give. Other than that, zodiac releasing necessitates accurate ascendant and can be a wonderful thing to add when we look at any type of astrology or mundane astrology. And more things that I can think about before the global shutdown. Hackings. Okay, big hacks, weapon-related hacks, oil and gas-related hacks, defense missile strategy-related hacks, particularly the laser ones, the wave-based ones, leaks. It can be anywhere from WikiLeaks to leaks of emissions to gas leaks. On a personal level, people right now, Uranus, Mars, take extra caution when cooking. Take extra caution when, if you are in the hemisphere where you need to turn off the heater before, or turn off the water warmer before a shower. Pay extra caution. Those are other things that can go boom. All the electricity warnings apply. Okay, the portable AC with the cell phone, with the okay, with the whatever gadget. No. Not right now. Um, and safety locks, safety this, safety that, Mercury is numerics, and passports, it's true. People that have something of two. Now, this one is not particularly bureaucratic, but if you're traveling and you have like two passports, you're holding an element of two that can play both ways. One, either something can go to the passports and not to the person. Two, something can happen with that twinning. So people might think that you are, I don't know, on an intelligence job and you're not. And I know that everybody that has two passport, people ultimately suspected them and so on. There's nothing much people can do about that. But let's say if you're traveling and you hold two passports, then maybe pay extra attention to get to exit with the right passport and to enter with the right passport, to show the two passports when you come in, to have transparency. That can be important. And I guess just being civil and knowing one's rights. Remember that the passports, for many, the passports are the fingerprints. Okay, so let's say you lost one passport, say, hey, there's my fingerprint. Okay, that's something that a lot of people in times of stress, I know I forgot to do that in time of stress. I sat there 3 hours drinking one coffee after another. Forgetting that the passport was biometric, but so remember, those that have biometric papers, that they are biometric, and anything to do with oil. Oh, it can also be things that people bring from place to place. If you have a weapon, if you're carrying a weapon, just disclose it. If you're not sure if you took your pepper spray or not, just say, wait a second, I don't know if I forgot my pepper spray. Sometimes I have my pepper spray, and have people search through your things. Much better, because Uranus is air, is transparency, so much better than, oh, wait a second, I forgot that thing is there now. It's not illegal for most places to take something like that with you. And make sure you have the legal option of the protection, because usually it's not safe to leave something. Let's say if you're traveling by train, it's not safe to leave it by the train. You're going to have to go all the way back home, deposit it in a safe deposit at home, and then go with either the legal stuff or without. So this is making sure that whatever you carry for defense is actually legal for the place and for the type of transportation that you're taking. With Saturn, Aries, there probably are new regulations, driver's license, anything that needs to be renewed. Credit and credit cards, credit fraud. Again, now is not the time to use your credit card at a gas station, let's say. By the way, it's also not a good time to commit a fraud, because unless you're fully able to disclose that you and be transparent that you committed a certain offense. Let's say somebody had to steal